got it.
Got it.
Perfect. Okay, Frank, floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. I just hope I don't land on it. Hi, I'm Professor Frank Chindamo, a certified humor professional. I started at SNL in 1981. My dad had cancer, and I wished I could bring humor to his hospital room. I made and then taught funny video production at USC, UCLA, and Chapman. Then those videos played on the TVs at Cedars-Sinai and Kaiser Permanente. They asked for an app and for research, so we've done 11 years of research. So I know what you're thinking. Overnight success. The problem is America's health is declining. Gallup says 76% of us say our physical health isn't great. One in five high school students have considered suicide. Over 1 million Americans have been killed by opioids so far, and 50 million are negatively effective. I mean, this is the line at my Starbucks. Dr. Ron Burke, Johns Hopkins Medical School, identified 400 studies showing laughter's health benefits. One example, Dr. Lee Burke, Loma Linda Hospital, 48 patients who had had a heart attack. For 6 months, half watched 30 minutes of comedy a day. Only 8% of them had a second heart attack. Those who didn't watch comedy, 42% had a second heart attack. You are 80% less likely to have a second heart attack if you watch comedy. Believe me, watching Grumpy Cat on a Roomba is way more fun than watching your heart monitor go berserk. So what is LaughMD? It's a digital therapeutic, an app that uses comedy videos to solicit spontaneous laughter from patients and healthcare providers. I asked an audience of 120 doctors to finish this sentence. Laughter is the best. They yelled medicine. I said, wrong. Medicine is the best medicine. You're doctors, you should know that. So we say LaughMD is the best complement to medicine. Our research at USC Cancer, over 90% of patients said we lowered their pain and stress. At AT Still University, patients said their chronic pain was reduced by 60% in 28 days. Opioids reduced pain by only 50%. This is groundbreaking. Where the hell are the paparazzi? We've received a lot of recognition in our field, but the best one, we're endorsed by the Medical Society of New York, the organization that awards doctors their medical licenses. If they don't know what they're doing, you guys in New York, you're in a lot of trouble. We have a proven team of me, oncology Dr. Mazumder, NYU and USC professor with 30 plus papers published. Scott Jensen, a lawyer who's led content for Viacom, including Comedy Central. Dr. Sandra Kufelstein has invented 4 prescription medications and is funded by the Gates Foundation. Rick Barnett, CEO of 5 hospitals. Lieutenant Colonel Robin Johnson founded the Best Medicine Brigade of Comedians, now tours the world with the Armed Forces Network. And that's the real Dr. Patch Adams. They made a Hollywood movie about him. You must know something if Robin Williams plays you in your biopic, right? So here's our plan. We upscale our existing beta app, phase 1, proprietary humor profile system. It's a recommendation engine on steroids. Uses AI and facial recognition to know if you like and refer more of that to you. This SaaS product will be licensed as B2B wellness app. Then, as soon as possible, phase 2, facial recognition. This is currently available. It can measure your heart rate, hemoglobin A1C, HRV. It gives you real-time feedback, like it'll show your blood pressure went down from a high of 140 over 100 to a normal 120 over 80. Laughter really does do that. That'll be software as a medical device. We already have the studies, and we'll license that to 6,500 hospitals, 5,000 oncology clinics, 16,000 drug and alcohol rehab clinics, dialysis, etc., 250,000 facilities. Phase 3 is a robot that actually tickles you. I'm kidding. Phase 3 is the B2C rollout with more gamification. The health and wellness category is growing rapidly and projected to be 211 billion in 2035 with a 19% growth rate. Our revenue, right away, licensing fees for the wellness and SAMD versions. Costs vary, but around the same as Netflix or HBO. We can get service fees, custom development, long-term B2B and B2C insurance reimbursements. After we get FDA clearance, we get approval codes for insurance providers to reimburse for LaughMD. We can license our HPS technology. We can offer live comedy, sharing of comedy, laughter yoga, hospital clowns, a full humor solution. Our results are all those above: medical facilities and big corporations with wellness programs. Happier patients and employers happier patients and employees are more productive, take less sick days and pain meds. So, sorry, Big Pharma. People say our competition are like funny videos on TikTok and Facebook. No, They are not your friend. Their win is they capture your data, steal your time, they sell you crap, and they're bad for you. Meta just lost a $3 million lawsuit for social media addiction. TikTok settled for $6 million per plaintiff. There are thousands of plaintiffs. They cause depression, body dysmorphia, suicides. We're clean, personalized, medically validated, curated for positive humor. Our win is we lower your pain, your stress, and your blood pressure. We're unique, no competition in comedy. Our real competition is $3 billion Headspace, $3 billion Calm. But would you rather meditate or laugh? Let me put it this way. When was the last time a friend sent you a video of a guy going, Om? Next, we support all popular medical devices and platforms like VR, computer vision, audio only version, new audiences like kids, non English, international. We gamify, and best of all, community, sharing amongst friends and other users to increase health benefits and laughter. Ultimately, we sell to a company that makes more money if people are sicker less, like an insurance company or value based care organization, like a hospital group. Our study showed we lowered costs. If the Oncology Institute, they get 10,000 a month per cancer patient. Do they want to spend 1,200 a month on opioids or 60% less, plus $20 a month on LaughMD? Even I can do that math. So I'm Professor Frank. I literally wrote the book on using laughter as medicine. Check it out at laughmed.com. I can give you a free copy, but then I have to make the grant $25,030. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Frank. You're under 7 minutes as well. So perfect timing.
Great.
Cool. We're going to keep recording for like the next 7 to 10 minutes as we ask you questions. So I will just open it up to our team and see if anyone has initial reactions or questions for Frank.
I'll start. I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit more about the actual content that you're showing on the devices. How are you curating that? Where is that all coming from?
I have a team of comedy majors from both Emerson and USC that have curated 40,000 different funny videos from YouTube, stand-up comedy, funny babies, funny animals, pratfalls, classic TV shows. We have lots of SNL because I used to work there.
Related question, do you run into any licensing issues as your team is accessing that content? Can you talk to us about what that looks like in terms of just grabbing from, widely available YouTube clips, or if there's any worries or compliance issues that your team has about, Disney or SNL or ABC coming to you with an
So
issue?
they license their content to YouTube. I've taught at YouTube. We are doing what's a fair use of YouTube because you're actually watching the video on YouTube. So either we're going to do a premium subscription or you see the advertisements from YouTube. So the content maker is rewarded.
Okay.
And so, first of all, thank you for the presentation. Really interesting.
Thanks.
Given that the content is not, it's curated by you guys, but it's not produced by you guys, can you
Mhm.
explain to me a little bit more about the value proposition of your software specifically and how that's transforming the experience versus what they would just get from watching a curated playlist of content online?
Well, sure. As I talked about, Facebook and Meta and TikTok and all that, their goal is to sell you things. Their goal is to take as much of your time as possible. They do not care about your health outcomes. We do. That's our win. That's our value proposition. We lower your blood pressure. We increase your we lower your pain at AT Still University. And this is a published study. Pain levels went from a 10.6 to a 4.2 in just 28 days. That's a 60% reduction. Who does that?
I
Related
thought of,
question.
oh, go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry,
Lauren.
Alana. The health outcomes piece is really exciting to me. I've also read some research on like the power of comedy and laughter, and there's some great psychologists out of Stanford who've done this work that I like, two
Mhm.
women that I follow pretty closely. But I'm wondering, as you think about the health outcomes, how is your team thinking about how this product looks differently depending on age group? It sounds like it could be anybody who accesses the app. Is there an age minimum that people have to meet to get the app and have access to certain content? And yeah, just talk to me about like the health outcomes. Is it for everybody who might be sick or have ailments, or is it a certain population that the team is thinking about focusing in on?
These are all great questions. So for the IRB approved studies, running through an IRB, you've got to really thread the needle with your patient population, right?
Mhm.
For the software as a service as it grows, we're going to be able to target, for example, dialysis patients. You saw a picture of one receiving it, right? So dialysis patients are of a certain age group and demographic. So first, we can put the content on that's curated for them. We have a whole airtable of what content works in which audiences. You can show somebody having dinner and having a drink to an audience of general hospital people. You wouldn't ever show that in a drug and alcohol rehab facility, right? So we've got that all laid out. Um, the humor profile system, which is Scott Jensen's baby, that is something that will be able to use your face to tell whether you like something or don't, whether you put the phone down, whether you look away, whether you laugh or not. So it'll start to send you more of that with some variance because humor is about surprise.
I was curious, kind of on that similar note, given how culturally contextual humor is, especially for those who English might not be their first language. I
Mhm.
know in the presentation you mentioned that expanding into other languages is kind of like a next phase goal. I was curious for the patients that initially come on looking for benefits out of LaughMD, if they maybe don't click with the content they see off the bat, how quickly that adaptation or transition to other content, what that period looks like when it comes to trying to capture their attention and success off the bat, or if there's delays in certain population segments that are still being worked on.
Will, I put on a lab coat 3 days a week and I go to the Oncology
Mhm.
Institute. I work directly with patients one-on-one. Okay.
Mhm.
A lot of my patients are of Latin origin, as am I.
Mhm.
And we have a whole load of Spanish content already on them, videos sin
Mhm.
palabras, right? We have comedias, we have chistosos, everything like that. That's already on there. You know, that's the second largest language population here in Los Angeles, as you can imagine. Um, Between that and the humor profile selection and the fact that we've got a very wide range of content, there's a lot of non-language content. So, for example, for Mandarin speaking patients, there are menu items that say, here's some funny videos for you specifically. And those are things like Grumpy Cat on a Roomba. Mhm.
Can you talk to us about the sort of makeup of your team, Frank, and in terms of, to Will's point, like the cultural diversity, the perspectives that folks are bringing? You mentioned Emerson and USC for comedy majors.
Mhm.
How else are you thinking about growing or sort of investing in the wealth of diversity from a comedy profile standpoint and just an experience standpoint on your board and your leadership team?
Well, one thing we need to do is we need to get more women on the team, that's for sure. We right now we have gay people, we have straight people, we have Asian people, we've got Indian people. I'm Latino, Italian, and Jewish, so I'm whatever you want. We've got a lot of cultural diversity. We've got Eastern European. Will grow. You can only do so much with 6 people. You can only hit so many ethnic groups with six people, right? But we definitely need to grow and we definitely need to increase our diversity. That's for sure.
I wanted
You
to follow
talked.
up about,
Oh,
sorry,
go
Alana.
ahead, Bill.
I was
No,
going to
no.
follow up quickly to what you left me on earlier about the non-language focused content. I
Mhm.
was curious
Mhm.
for those that may be hard of hearing or deaf entirely or nonverbal, is the selection of the non-language specific content wide enough that those individuals already have a full range of benefitable content?
Yeah, we've already got about three, maybe 4,000 of those videos.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Thank you. Sorry,
Yeah.
Alana, go ahead.
No,
Oh
I
no.
mean, think about it. A guy backing his car up in Russia and hitting another car and then hitting another car and then hitting another car, right? That's funny in any language, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious if you could talk to us about um, sort of switching gears to the networks that you're already a part of, where you've experimented, where you've tested this product, what
Hmm.
your expansion plans are in terms of regional focus or hospital networks. Just a little bit more detail on how you see LabMD expanding and maybe what your sales pipeline is right now.
Sure. So because we've got so many medical personalities on the team already, we've got a lot of, my connections, their connections, and so it's going to be a very organic growth. It also helps that I'm a public speaker about this. I'm doing about one podcast a week, so we're being contacted. This morning we were contacted by Kaiser Permanente. The book that I've written, which is under wraps, so to speak, right now, but is about to be published. That book is going to also increase awareness. That's going to increase my ability to do more public speaking. Um, for example, here I do a lot of medical conventions. So I was the chair of this convention. I was the chair of this convention. So that's how I had an audience of 120 doctors in Las Vegas when I won that award right there.
One other question on my end is there any original content creation that you're thinking of? I know that you have a comedy background and you've obviously done a lot of original content, I imagine, throughout your career. Are you
Hmm.
thinking about any original content development as part of, phase one, two, three of LaughMD?
Yeah, that's something that is a good fallback because then we don't have to pay YouTube for it if we were to grow our own 40,000 video library, right? But making funny content is hard. Even Steve Martin makes bad movies, right? So can we program AI to, put a polka dot puppy in a laundry basket, right? Yes, that's certainly possible. So can we complement our content? Yes, we can. But I'm very tied in to the comedy community, and every comedian that I know, I just had a comedian staying with me last weekend for the Bergamot Comedy Festival. Every single comedian that I speak to loves this, total buy-in, wants to help. So we don't get pushback on that.
One last question from me.
Mhm.
What do you need the money for? Like, what's your plan with the funding?
Hmm. Try not to give a funny answer, Frank. Um, the money, your $25,000 right now will help to get us on the road to the programming of the next version of the app. It'll help us get our sixth study that we just finished collecting data from at the Oncology Institute. It'll help us get that study published. It'll help publicize our fifth study, the one at AT Still University. There really should be more notoriety about that. It's literally groundbreaking that we beat opioids on painkilling. So a lot of that, a lot of the day to day, maintaining the GoDaddy and all the domains and that sort of a thing.
Pivoting maybe back to what Alana was getting at earlier, and then my question about the team's diversity. A lot of what you were describing in the pitch was pretty tech focused and software as a service focused, right? You're
Hmm.
building or programming AI. We're thinking about recommendations in a thoughtful way for people. It would
Hmm.
be an app that folks download on their phone. So can you walk me
Hmm.
through, the tech landscape for your team in terms of who is sort of leading the front from a CTO or technological perspective? And how
Hmm.
are you thinking about continuing to innovate and stay abreast of what's happening in the world of AI and how fast it's moving? Because this would be a tech platform, if I'm hearing you correctly, pretty tech
Hmm.
forward. So would love to hear more about technology as you as a leader and the rest of your team thinks about it.
Absolutely. So each of us have our areas of specialty, right? Um, Mine is more comedic and I'm the messaging person. Scott, for example, was a technology guru from Viacom. He went on to run the content store at Nokia, and then went on to develop the Weather Channel app. That which you see today is primarily led by Scott. So he's very tied in with that. He's very tied in with technology. And so he's the one that is vetting and hiring our programmers. He's the one who took our app from when it was not working so well to working really well right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already got right now a new lovable version of the app that's programmed through AI. So that's already done. I could show you that in the next meeting.
And is Scott the one that's spearheading in the deck that was a part of the application, the movement or growth or plan to potentially move into this software as a medical device landscape
Absolutely.
market?
Yeah.
Is he the one
Yeah.
spearheading? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Scott's also one of the top volunteers for an organization called CASM, which helps cancer patients and their families. His wife died of cancer. His dad has it. He's got, as he says, a very large extended family, and 17 of them have or have had cancer. So he's very well vested in this.
Yeah. We'd love to meet him. So we'll probably schedule some time for you and him
Great,
and all of us to connect. Yeah.
great. Okay.
And the last question on my end, just in terms of the validation studies that you published, and
Mhm.
you mentioned 80% were less likely to get a heart attack if they watch comedy. I'm
Mhm.
curious how you navigate the sort of correlation data versus causation. How are we attributing the, increased health outcomes to the comedic videos versus maybe
Mhm.
any other thing that was taking place at the same time, whether it was improvements in diet and exercise,
Mhm.
um, in like side effects from medicine that they're taking. How did your team take those into account when coming up with your proof points for LaughMD,
Mhm.
and making sure that the attribution was really due to the product that you're all developing instead
Mhm.
of maybe something else that was a part of their treatment plan?
Yeah, that's also a good question. We've done three IRBs. You know what IRBs are, right? So we've done three of them. You don't get past an IRB if your study is flawed. Your study design has to be good, especially the first one was at Chapman. The second one was at the pain management clinic at A.T. Still University. And the third one was with WCG. So if your study design is flawed, you don't get to do the study, first of all. Second of all, there are 400 studies that show this. So that can't be coincidence. And yes, each of those studies had their own um, IRB. So Dr. Burke at Johns Hopkins isolated only the 400 studies that met that criteria. And that meta study is published, and you can read that for more details on this. I'm not the scientist. Dr. Mazumder is the scientist. Jen Klajic is the MSW. Dr. Joshua Cohen is the statistician, right? It's a team. So we understand what you're saying, and we know this has to be bulletproof, and that's why it's taken 11 years.
We have like 2 minutes left as a group. I've got one question, but I don't want to take up time if other people want to hop in with a couple questions.
All good from my end.
Okay.
Okay.
Last one, Frank. Customer acquisition
Mhm.
seems fun because you have such a great network already within the comedy space, and then also,
Mhm.
I mean, more particularly from a customer standpoint, the medical and healthcare space. How is
Mhm.
your team thinking about the corporate sector? I know that's a pretty big component of where you're trying to move with the
Mhm.
wellness platform and offering this to potential corporates. Um, High level, like what's the game plan for getting in front of them, and how do you think they would be receptive to something like this?
That's something that Scott would be leading. One possibility would be that we would partner with a company that already does a large number of corporate sales calls, called Improv Learning. They do comedy education for corporations, so we could partner with them, for example. And can I say, if I answered that question sufficiently, the one thing that isn't in the slide deck that will be in the next one
Mhm.
are revenue projections. They're they're astounding, and I just didn't have time to cram them in because they require explanation, but know that it'll be there in the longer pitch.
Okay, that's great. We are going to probably email you with some additional questions and requests in terms of like data, all the stuff that your team has been working on that I'm sure it's 11 years worth of love and labor in it. So we'll probably ask you for that, and then schedule some additional time with you and Scott and any other members of your team who you think would be helpful for us to connect with personally.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thanks
All
so
right.
much,
Thank you
Craig.
guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thanks.
take care.